May 2024. Uh, just about 2 minutes before 5 a.m. Orúkọ mi ni Ọláyọmí Kóìkì tí gbogbo yín mọ̀ sí Koikimedia. Self-determination is the conversation, and as we continue to use this platform to educate and prepare Yoruba people on all the reasons why we should support the quest and the right of the Yoruba people to self-determination. Let us continue again from where we stopped, as there's a lot to cover on a daily basis. But the most important thing is for Yoruba people to know that there is no amount of election that can fix and rectify the problem that we are facing as Yoruba people lately. So the only thing we can do is to all come together and demand that Nigeria should be finally wind down, so that we can be able to have a future for our people and the next generation. But most Yoruba people agree with that is the right thing to do at this particular time. Yoruba people believe that we can still work to rectify Nigeria, even though we are going to Nigeria. Most of your governors and your politicians continue to tell you all kind of lies to give you a false hope that things will change and one day better. We have just about an hour roughly for this transmission. I should have started it a bit earlier, but as usual, being a Buffalo CB I'm run late. So please share the program and let's take advantage of the little time that we have this morning to do just a very quick program in terms of education. Kí ni reason tí a ṣe ń sọ pé a fẹ́ a Yoruba country as against Nigeria? What is the difference? If somebody asks you, why do you want an independent Yoruba nation and not an independent Nigeria? What do you tell them in terms of if that question is asked? Then you come back anything pé ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ Yoruba nation. What is the reason why you want a Yoruba country? And why not Nigeria? What are you going to tell them? Are you just going to be looking and don't have anything to say? Or are you going to have something to tell them? These are, pertinent questions. And when it seems that what we are doing cannot be fruitful and is also a waste of time. It's okay for people to say that because more reasons it will be difficult for us to explain all these things to them. But more reason it's going to be very, very easy for them to understand that this is what we are fighting for. Some even believe that we should engage in politics, and then that way we can use that to establish our quest to self-determination. I do not agree in that part, but everybody have, their right to whatever they think. So this morning, I'm just going to try to again explain, what is the difference, why not a Nigeria and why Yoruba nation. Kilo data she prefer láti fẹ́ gba country, but not try to fix the one that is currently in existence. Whether we like it or not, many people still believe in Nigeria, and we have them in huge numbers. They are big in numbers, and those are the people that we need to convince, instead of them trying to walk in line in Nigeria, we should be able to give them all the reasons in the world. We are far better off as an independent Yoruba country as against Nigeria. But I want to Ojomo Yoruba, turn out fair Nigeria. Do you know the reason why they want Nigeria? What is the reason why they want Nigeria, and what can we do lately convince one way Nigeria is not what working towards anymore? It is just too late. Let us work towards a Yoruba country, and that way we can easily have strong more members of the movement. We were having a program yesterday, but there was some kind of network glitch, and we couldn't continue that program, Lori Babawolowo, but hopefully I will catch up on that maybe today or some other time. But let's focus on the conversation this morning. The conversation is why Yoruba nation and not Nigeria? Kí ló dé tá ṣe fẹ́ fix Nigeria? Kí ló dé tá ṣe fẹ́ fix Nigeria? That is the question I'm asking this morning. Kí ni ìdí tá ṣe fẹ́ fix Nigeria? Kí ni reason tá ṣe gba Yoruba country tá work towards trying to fix Nigeria as it is right now, láti participate in the engagement of the government in trying to make sure that we would participate and fix Nigeria. Kí ni reason tá ṣe fẹ́ fix Nigeria? Why Yoruba nation and not Nigeria? Self-determination, we know, is a right under the United Nations Charter. But one thing is that United Nations does not give the country. So if UN doesn't give the country, then what are we going to do to achieve the country? That is another question that many people ask all the time. What are the things that needs to be done to make sure that we become an independent country? And what are the rules of the United Nations to become a country? All these are very important questions that people ask all the time. But those are knows that the right is the first thing. Tabati right here. Then how do we tell the people within the communities around 191 local government and in Yoruba Leni, what do we need to do to give them these good news that we are better off lately ní independent country, lately that lede. And most of them, if you are not convinced like me, they would vote again in 2027. By the time the election comes, by the time all these activities of the election comes again in 2026, going to 2027, by the time Tawabere Sinche campaign, Tokwasho Sita, APC Kofila Sita, PDP Intamoin Moin, Obere Sin Fun Olepa, Fun Oni Guguru, gbogbo n tó ń ṣe wọ́n láti bí ọdún mẹ́ta will be forgotten. And they will still believe that going towards another election is in the interest of the Yoruba people, just as we told them in 2020, 21, 22, going into the 2023 election. Why election is not the solution to the current state of the problem, Yoruba face lane. But the argument is that tabati in the center. We take the center, which is the presidency, and our life will change automatically. Most didn't understand that it doesn't work like that. Whether Tinubu was the president or not, it is not going to change, the welfare, your education, your insecurity, the economy, and the most important thing, your identity. Tinubu is the president, has not changed your identity. Could change your identity. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ wa tẹ́ ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. Ẹ má ká máa dárúkọ torí àsìkò. Not enough time this morning. I only have about 60 minutes to run this program because we have other things to do later on. The question again is, why Yoruba nation and not Nigeria? If it's in the comment section. Kí ló dé tá ṣe fẹ́ Yoruba nation tá fẹ́ Nigeria? Self-determination, self-determination under United Nations Charter is a right. But self-determination under United Nations is a right. But how do you make that right to become reality? Kí ló máa ṣe, kí la máa ṣe, ọ̀nà wo la fẹ́ gbà tí self-determination under UN Charter yẹn tó jẹ́ right? Ìgbésẹ̀ wo la gbọ́dọ̀ gbé? Kí ni àwọn ọ̀nà tí a máa gbà tí a máa fi lè rí right yẹn? Because UN ò ní fún yín ní country is not going to say, ẹ lọ gba Yoruba nation. But the process is engage the country, tẹ́ fẹ́ kúrò nínú ẹ̀. Engage that country, ask the government of that country that ẹ̀tọ́ wà pé fẹ́ kúrò. And those countries' leaders might literally say, fẹ́ jẹ́ kẹ́ lọ, ẹ jẹ́ ká sì jọ rẹ́ papọ̀. Just like Tinubu told the Afenifere during their visit, to his office ní few weeks back, kó tó di pé ó lọ Netherlands àti Saudi Arabia, and then also fún àpò lọ sí France, even though we know that he's been to France. Even though a video was shown yesterday, a lot of people are still not fully convinced that Tinubu is back or whatever, but that is not the conversation this morning. Every broadcast has its own conversation. Conversation tààrọ̀ yìí ni, why Yoruba nation tá a fẹ́ Nàìjíríà? Kí ni Nàìjíríà ṣe tá a fi ń sọ pé a fẹ́ Nàìjíríà mọ́? Yoruba country la fẹ́, Odùduwà republic la fẹ́, a fẹ́ ní kankan ṣe pẹ̀lú Nàìjíríà. It's just 10 minutes past 5 a.m. This is a live transmission, and it's just about under 60 minutes for this conversation. Kí ni ìdí kókó tí a ṣe ń gbìyànjú pé ẹ jẹ́ ká push fún an independent Yoruba country? Ẹ má ká lọ fún Nàìjíríà mọ́. Ẹ má jẹ́ ká bá wọn pètò pé a fẹ́ wà nínú Nàìjíríà. Number one, we've been able to establish clearly, kò sẹ́ni tó lè deny yẹn mọ́ nísìnyí pé ọ̀nà báyìí ni wọ́n fi establish Nàìjíríà. Nǹkan báyìí ni wọ́n ṣe ní Nàìjíríà fi wá sí ìmúṣẹ. Ìgbésẹ̀ báyìí ni wọ́n gbé kó tó di pé Nàìjíríà di country. Those ìgbésẹ̀ tó gbé yẹn, whether it is right or wrong, we've been able to establish that it is not in the interest. Bóyá nígbà yẹn, it was in the interest of the majority of Yoruba people pé kó amalgamate wa, even though that amalgamation was not done in the interest of the people. It was for a purpose. We've explained that in many of the programs that we've done in the past. Purpose of the established amalgamation, which is the Northern Protectorate, Ilẹ̀ Hausa, and the Southern Protectorate, Ilẹ̀ Igbo àti Ilẹ̀ Yoruba, was because Britain in lose owó ní North. They were not making any money. They were literally losing good amount of money. And they needed something to propel láti gain owó yẹn padà. And they thought that since tí Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ń rí owó, ṣe kúkú join ní Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, Ilẹ̀ Igbo, ká join ẹ̀ pẹ̀lú Ilẹ̀ Hausa, ká sọ di odindi ẹyọ kan, ká wá fìyẹn fi ṣe ìtàn pè ní Nigeria Niger area. And that was what led to the establishment of Nigeria. Kò ń ṣe pé wọ́n consult gbogbo wa, àwọn ni wọ́n make decision yẹn. Now, kí ló ń fà tí àwọn olóṣèlú wa, àwọn ọba, àwọn elite, àwọn tó ní the knowledge, kí ló wá fà tí wọ́n fi jẹ́ ká reverse in tí wọ́n dá sílẹ̀ yẹn? Because gbogbo tó dá sílẹ̀ yẹn, tá bá ní ká gbé yẹ̀wò, kò tí ì pé 1,000 years, kò tí ì pé 500 years, kò tí ì pé 300 years, kò tí ì pé 200 years, kò tí ì pé 150 years. Gbogbo pé wọ́n establish tó ń pè ní Nàìjíríà lénìí, tó fi ń pè ní the 1914 amalgamation. The whole project 1914 amalgamation is less than 110 years old. Now, kí ló wá prove difficult láti reverse ẹ̀? Àwọn kan ní wọ́n ní tó bá ti pé 100 years pé kólúkálukú kó lè béèrè fún exit. Àwọn kan tẹ̀ argue pé whether there was a clause or not, there is proof that the indigenous people kan wà tó ń pè ní ìran Yorùbá tó ti exist for thousands of years prior before káwọn òyìnbó tó dé. Kò ń ṣe pé ìgbà tó òyìnbó dé la ṣe ń exist. Ìran wa ti ń exist kó òyìnbó tó dé in thousands of years. Báwọn ṣe ń exist níbi tí Ọlọ́run dá wọn sí, àwa náà exist níwọ̀nba ibi tí Ọlọ́run dá wa sí. A ti ń ṣe governance wa. Kódà history tí Bàbá Akíntóyè fi tó wa létí, ó jẹ́ kó yé wa pé, and I have that clip, hopefully màá pull it out in one of my recordings. Bàbá Akíntóyè ní nígbà tí àwọn Portuguese nígbà tó máa wà ní 15th century during the exploration, ìran Yorùbá ti ní city àti ń dá ṣe ìjọba wa. Let me take us back to tó bá mọ̀ tán pè ní 15th century. That was ìgbà tó ń pè ní 15th century. Nísìnyí à ń pè ní 21st century. That means pé every era, kó tó di pé gbogbo nǹkan wà bó ṣe wà lénìí, kó tó di pé gbogbo nǹkan wà bí ó ṣe wà ní èní tí a fi ní communication, advancement technology ló ń dé, ló fi pé mo tan kámẹ́rà, ìwọ náà gbé fóònù ẹ̀, ta lélẹ̀, ibo lélẹ̀ ti wá, kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Tẹ́lẹ̀ kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀. But because the technology is getting better, there is advancement. Ìyẹn ló ṣe lè jókòó sínú ilé ẹ̀ kó máa ṣàdúrà láti inú church service, láti inú mosque service, láti ṣẹ̀ṣe, láti lè gbọ́ program. Kí ló tún sọ ń bẹ̀ yẹn? Gossip ló ń lọ ń bẹ̀ yẹn. Is because of the advancement of the technology. Tó bá jẹ́ pé ìran tiwa náà dá dúró gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ti ṣe wà tẹ́lẹ̀, advancement yẹn náà máa dé bá wa náà independently without being part of Nigeria. And there is also proof. A lot of proof came because proof jẹ́ kó yé wa pé nígbà tí France ò tí ì ní television, ìran Yorùbá ti ní television, àti ní radio, the first newspaper print, lot of history because a kàwé débẹ̀. Àwọn ìwé kan wà àwa náà lọ kà abroad, a gbé education yẹn padà wá sílé, a bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń lò. So gbogbo tá à ń rí lẹ́nu tán ní advancement of technology, Elon Musk ló dá kinní kan sílẹ̀. No, tó bá jẹ́ pé àwọn òyìnbó ò disrupt system tí ó ti wà kí àwọn tó dé, we would also have become very advanced. Then èmi àti òní need láti máa sá káàkiri pé a fi lọ abroad, a fi lọ gbé abroad. Ilẹ̀ wa la máa wà. Àwọn òyìnbó kan wà, àwọn náà máa ń káàkiri láti fi lọ gbé ní ìlú míì. Èmi àná òun lọ sí Africa, èmi àní òun lọ sí Europe, èmi àná òun lọ sí Asia for whatever reason. Bí a fọ́n lè dé láti lọ gbé níbẹ̀. Kò ń ṣe gbogbo British ló ń gbé ní UK. British mi ti ní UK nísìnyí ó ti tójọ́ mẹ́ta tó jẹ́ pé ìlú mi ló ń gbé. Ó lè wà níbi kan ní Namibia. Wà máa wonder pé ọmọ British kí ló lọ ń ṣe Namibia? Ibi tí spirit ẹ̀ lọ nìyẹn, or ibi tó ń wù nìyẹn. But in tí mo fẹ́ fàyọ ni pé tó bá jẹ́ pé wọ́n dá ìrìn àjò ẹ̀dá wa rú, option ló máa jẹ́. Ó fẹ́ lọ London, option ni. Kò ní jẹ́ do or die. ó fẹ́ lọ America, ó fẹ́ lọ Canada, ó fẹ́ lọ Libya, ó fẹ́ lọ Ghana, ó fẹ́ lọ gbé ní Benin Republic. We will be managing our affairs. We will be managing our governance. We will be taking care of ourselves pẹ̀lú identity wa. This is the first argument. So anybody tó bá sọ fún pé Yorùbá nation wọn ló ń fẹ́ ẹ jẹ́ ká fix Nigeria, but ibì kan ní Yorùbá tí ń wà kó tó di pé wọ́n dàrú. Let's read a little bit of this exploration. As I said earlier, in 15th century, Portuguese, when the Portuguese arrived in Benin, Nigeria, in the 15th century, 19th century, they were creating amalgamation. So if you look at it, 15, 16, 17, 18, almost like 4 or 3 centuries, the amalgamation in the, and as at that time, they were fighting for almost everything within Africa, because nígbà tó dé Africa, wọ́n realize pé in tó ń ṣe níbí báyìí, ó yàtọ̀ sí tó ń ṣe ní agbègbè tiwọn. There is good resources. Yes, mosquito ń jẹ wá. Yes, we have swamp, we have water. Kódà, ó tún parọ́ fún wa pé River Niger tí ó ti ń bẹ, pé arákùnrin kan, I forgot his name now, Mungo Park, founded River Niger. But what's the reverse ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn? Because we realized, irọ́ tẹ́ gbé kalẹ̀ ti pọ̀ jù. How can Mungo Park found River Niger? But let's just read a little bit about the Portuguese arrival into Nigeria sometime around 1490. Kò tẹ̀ tí pé 15th century. A ṣì wà ní 14th century làwọn Portuguese dé. When the Portuguese arrived in Benin, Nigeria, in the 15th century, they quickly started trading. Wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí í ṣe òwò. Wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí í ṣe òwò. Wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí í ṣe trade. That shows that we have been trading with these people, but they were just not satisfied. They were double standard. They were not satisfied. Because tábà wà satisfied, trade táwọn náà bára wọn ṣe lénìí between UK ló wà lára àwọn tó jọ establish the European Union, and eventually, because of their greed, they pull out of the EU. Kódà, wọ́n tún deceive àwọn Scottish people pé tẹ́ bá vote in 2014 against you exiting UK, because 2014 Scotland ti fẹ́ kúrò nínú UK. There was a referendum. A lot of you don't know that. There was a referendum for the Scottish people to decide their fate, whether they wanted to remain in the United Kingdom or they wanted to go. But because of some of the lies, and that is why you can never trust any politicians around the world, regardless of whether America, Africa, Europe, Asia, they're all the same. They're all the same. The lie also found around Scotland, a vote against the exit, and we will remain in the European Union, because the European Union exit was coming 2 years after the 2014 referendum, and the Scottish people believe it, and majority of them voted to remain in the union based on the fact that táwọn bá wà nínú union yìí nǹkan báyìí báyìí ló máa ṣẹlẹ̀. Now, agreement táwa náà sign nígbà táwọn bàbá Awólọ́wọ̀ ń ṣe ètò independent ni pé for us to live as one block, for us to live as one entity, a máa ní ìjọba tiwa tó ń pè ní Western region. Olúkálùkù máa ní region tiẹ̀. A máa ní parliament tiwa. Then a máa sanwó sí center, and we can manage Nigeria like that, which is exactly what the UK is doing today. In the UK today, UK tí wọ́n fi wá àbí UK tó fi wá, ìkànnì méjèèjì ni. There is 4 countries running in this country. One in Northern Ireland, one in Wales, one in Scotland, and one in England. Báwo làwọn ṣe ṣe táwọn run operation yẹn within the 4 different units of this independent country, even though we generally tó bá ní British passport ó show pé British passport yẹn náà ló ń represent ìlú mẹ́rẹ̀ẹ̀rin yẹn. But by the time they are going out for any outing, they become independent. They become Scotland and represent Scotland for international football game. England and represent England for international game. Wales and represent Wales yẹn tẹ̀ tó 3 million. Northern Ireland and law. But ní Nigeria, in táwa agree náà sí ni pé kólúkálukú dá dúró so that Western region á create Premier League tiẹ̀, á create football tiẹ̀, á create àwọn sport tiẹ̀. Olúkálukú á lọ represent Western region. Northern region á lọ ṣe the same thing, and the Eastern region. But látara pé kíran Yorùbá má bàa nílọsíwájú, wọ́n kọ́kọ́ destroy that regional government. And the fact that they destroyed it, ìwọ tó fi gbá bọ́ọ̀lù lẹ́ni nísìn, ó wá ń struggle láti wọnú national team because competition ti pọ̀ jù. Inú ẹ̀ ni ọmọ Ẹdó fẹ́ wọ̀, Benue, Igbo, Hausa, wọ́n wá mú méjì mẹ́ta, wọ́n mọ ẹyẹ kan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn, wọ́n mú méjì bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. Okay, eléyìí good, but àní lè lò. If not, ó jẹ́ ká ní 24 Yoruba team nílẹ̀ Yorùbá as Western region football team. Ó jẹ́ ká ní 24 Eastern region, 24 Northern region. Olúkálukú á dẹ̀ lọ represent region ẹ̀. But lẹ́yìn nísìn, a ní ó dá ẹ jẹ́ ká reverse ẹ̀. Àwọn kan ní no, a ní láti reverse ẹ̀. We stick to it, we work with it, and then we make it work. Even tó bá work, we just make it work. And this is where we are now having hiccups and problems. And as of today, even after 23 years of democracy, just go back and ask yourself, láti 1999 tó ní àti gba democracy. Wọ́n ní democracy bá ti ṣe gbọ́, government of the people, for the people, by the people. Èwo ló reflect nínú ẹ̀ in your own life, within your family, within your friends, within your network, and just look at it from the basic things of life, just the basic. Kò ń ṣe gbogbo èèyàn ló gbọ́dọ̀ lówó lọ́wọ́, but the government responsibility, and don't tell me that it is just too early for us because democracy and shit. No, it doesn't need any rocket science. Gbogbo tó fi transform Dubai is less than 20 years because somebody had the vision. The vision is not because they have good leader. The vision is based on the fact that they have somebody that understands their language. Hey, imagine pé tó bá jẹ́ pé wọ́n lọ gbé ọmọ tó kì í ṣọmọ Dubai wá, kó jù sínú Dubai, kó wá ní kó run vision in Dubai. Ṣé mọ̀ pé ó máa fail? Because kò kì í ṣọmọ ìlú yẹn, kò ń ṣe elédè ìlú yẹn, ó máa fẹ́ ṣe lọ́nà tiẹ̀. That shows that the reason why Dubai is developed today, the United Arab Emirates, and they have 7 emirates from what I was told, or what we know, is because àwọn tó gbé vision yẹn dání, they have the same ideology, they have the same language, they have the same prospect. Àwa náà fẹ́ the same thing. We want a Yoruba country that you are safe from not being kidnapped. Imagine kí n tó jáde láàárọ̀ pé mo fẹ́ sáré dé Luton, mo dẹ̀ máa gba M25, máa connect to M1. But láàrin méjì pé mo fẹ́ connect sí M1 yẹn, títì yẹn ò dá, and it's a spot that people have been kidnapped. Yes, nílùú iná, I've told you, kò ń ṣe pé à ń dẹ́rù bà yín nílé. Èmi gan gbọ́dọ̀ máa bẹ̀rù nítorí pé substantial ni our as of today in terms of the security threat level. That means that nílùú tí mò ń gbé, there is likely to be a terrorist attack. But they are not calling Jesus or any Muhammad to rectify that. They are working to make sure that that threat will not happen, even though it is likely that it's going to happen, because stage that wà nísìnyí nìyẹn. So everybody will be told to be vigilant. Má rí nǹkankan kó sọ pé kò sí tó kàn ẹ́ níbẹ̀. People will be carried along. But bí ṣe gbọ́ lánàá yẹn kan pè mí láti governor's office lọ́dọ̀ Ogun State. Wọ́n ní gbogbo mọ́tò tí Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún rà tó náà fẹ́ fi ṣe security nígbà tí Inspector General of Police wá. I'm sure most of you remember the video or the news that Egbetokun was in Ogun State some few weeks back. Àwọn tó ń bá Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún ṣiṣẹ́ pè mí lánàá. Wọ́n ní Mr. Koiki, gbogbo mọ́tò yẹn pátá ni Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún ti dá padà. Yàtọ̀ sí méjì tí IG gbé lọ. And these are governors that wants to fix security. Ìwọ wá ń gbàdúrà pé kọ́lọ̀ má jẹ́ kó jí ẹ gbé. It is fine. Ó dá kíyàn gbàdúrà pé Ọlọ́run má jẹ́ kó jí mi gbé. But àdúrà yẹn gbọ́dọ̀ reflect pẹ̀lú pé governor state yẹn ó make effort láti curb insecurity tó wà nínú state. If a governor went out, bí àwọn àtàwọn tó jọ gba mọ́tò yẹn bí ó ti di ládéhùn pé wọ́n ní gbogbo tọ́lẹ̀ mara mọ́tò yẹn wọ́n ti ṣí kúrò, and they've returned the car back to where they took it from. And you are now praying. Ìwọ máa wá pray nínú ilé ẹ̀. Èmi náà máa ń pray pé kí n tó jáde, Ọlọ́run má jẹ́ kí ní mọ́tò accident. Ọlọ́run má jẹ́ kó lu èèyàn. Ọlọ́run má jẹ́ kí èèyàn kó lu wa. Ọlọ́run má jẹ́ kó jí mi gbé. Mo mọ̀ pé èèyàn lè ṣẹlẹ̀ London. But we know that there's a lot of crime in this country. Crime tó wà nílùú yìí, ìbọn tó wà nínú ìlú yìí, kódà kò ń ṣe kékeré. But BBC ò ní sọ yẹn fún yín because they could follow some platform on X. Only a particular one, if you are on the X, which is Twitter, majority Yoruba sí lórí X, video gossip lẹ́ ń wá lórí YouTube, but you are losing a lot because you are not seeing what is happening right inside the UK and around the world. Tó bá fẹ́ mọ̀ tó ń lọ in terms of current update, you have to be on the X, which is known as Twitter. That is where you can see up to date, up to seconds information. Tí bá fẹ́ mọ̀ tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí nísìnyí, I'll go to X, I can type in anything I want, and it automatically gives me those information. But tí máa jí láàárọ̀ yìí, mo rí wọn ní wọ́n attack Kogi. Ìgbà tí máa jí láàárọ̀ yìí, mo rí News America, House GOP drafting Biden impeachment articles over Israel aid cutoff threat. Ìgbà tí máa jí láàárọ̀ yìí, these are, as I speak to you right now, watch Falcon 9 launch 20 Starlink satellites to the orbit from California, including 13 direct with cell capabilities. Elon Musk ló ní X space. Ibi tó yẹ kírin àjò Yorùbá wà nìyẹn. Ọ̀nà tó yẹ ká máa think nìyẹn pé báwo làwa náà ṣe máa send the satellite lọ sínú orbit. Orbit ní space tó máa ń wò lókè tó bá gbójú sókè tó máa wò sórí gbogbo ibẹ̀ yẹn. Àwọn ń ṣe investment ó fi make owó. That is what and reason why Elon Musk is a billionaire today. These are not things that are difficult, but òyìnbó ò fẹ́ jẹ́ kẹ́ mọ̀ gbogbo eléyìí. And when we go back and read our Portuguese, I have about 30 or 29 minutes left to the program or thereabout. When we go back to the last phrase of the Yoruba anthem, it says, and I quote, Ọmọ Oòduà dìde, we are dìde because Vashen pariwo pa fẹ́ Yoruba nation. Àwọn kan náà wọ́n fẹ́ Yoruba nation. Wọ́n ní àwọn fẹ́ Yoruba nation. So that means people are dìde. And the more you stay in Nigeria, as Baba Akintoye said in one of his writing, that Nigeria that you want to save, this is what Baba Akintoye said. British, ìlú tí mò ń gbé ló ń pè ní Britain. Mo sọ lánàá pé ọmọọba mo tẹ̀ ń mistake mo ń gbé lóra wọn lánàá, but ọmọọba ṣọ́ra arákùnrin tó ń rí ọmọọba ni ọba ti sìn King Charles ọmọ ẹ̀ ni Diana ló bí eléyìí kó tó di pé Diana ní mọ́tò accident ní Paris ó kú dànù la a mọ̀ pé it is not ojú lásán bọ́ọ̀bẹ̀ kọ́ là ń lọ bàbá máa wọ́ndà pé kí ló lè fa ìjà láàrin bàbá àti ọmọ lóòótọ́ bàbá àtọmọ náà máa ń jà ní Áfíríkà but tó bá wo àwọn méjèèjì tó ń wò yìí right n tó ń jẹ́ kí bàbá nífẹ̀ẹ́ ọmọ ẹ̀ èmi ò mọ bí wọ́n ṣe fẹ́ nífẹ̀ẹ́ Áfíríkà tí wọ́n rò pọ̀ máa nífẹ̀ẹ́ Nàìjíríà because ìfẹ́ tán ní sí bàbá Awólọ́wọ̀ òun ló kó bá ìran Yorùbá lénìí ìfẹ́ táwọn ṣọ́ra àwọn bàbá ńlá ẹ̀ àwọn bàbá ńlá wọn òun lọ́ba lénìí but ní ìgbà kan rí àwọn bàbá tiẹ̀ náà wọ́n wà lára àwọn tí wọ́n ṣe okùnfà fún ayé tí òòrì jẹ lénìí fún ìyà tó ń jẹ àtẹ̀mí àwọn bàbá ẹ̀ àwọn ló create Nàìjíríà àwọn ìran ẹ̀ for 500 years àwọn ló kó wa lẹ́rú òun wá ń sọ nísìnyí pé ká jọ ká má bínú because nígbà tó lọ sí Kenya ní some few months back àwọn Mau they are like indigenous people wọ́n béèrè fẹ́tọ̀ wọn wọ́n fẹ́tọ̀ wọn but ní ìgbà yẹn ní 1950 bá ṣe gbọ́ ìtàn Britain pa ṣégè sí wọn lára látara pé wọ́n béèrè ẹ̀tọ́ wọn ìgbà tó ń wá lọ ó máa ń tó sọ ó ní òun ò ní lè apologize fún ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ táwọn bàbá ńlá òun dá because tó bá ti apologize what sórí òyìnbó òfin apologize because apology means pé wọ́n ti admit fún offence yẹn àti crime yẹn and tó bá dẹ̀ ti apologize ó tún láwọn ìgbésẹ̀ kan tó máa san gbèsè irú Church of England nísìn bẹ́ẹ̀ ni Church of England àwọn ti admit pé òwò ẹrú wà lára owó tó fi build the Church of England òwò ẹrú tó ṣe the wealth that they took from the slave trade ìwọ ò bínú sí yẹn torí pé o ò rí lójú physically because most of you did not know what happened during the slave trade kódà bàbá tẹ̀ wo fídíò ẹ̀ bàbá rí picture kò lè dàbí pé kò wà in the real true picture of it and that is why some of you today kàkà kẹfẹ kájọ béèrè ẹ̀tọ́ pé àwọn ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ tẹ́ dá yìí òun ló fa okùnfà fún wa lénìí tí a fi rí lọ síwájú kò ń ṣe pé torí ìyálé ẹ̀kan iṣẹ́ gbogbo yẹn irọ́ ni èmi ò níyàn kì í ṣèyàn but the first evil tó kọ́kọ́ wọlé Yorùbá òun làwọn òyìnbó àwọn bàbá àwọn eléyìí kódà a ti ṣe program kan rí tí ọba ìjọ náà lọ́hùn obìnrin ni nígbà tó sọ fún pé wọ́n lè máa kó àwọn èèyàn wá tí wọ́n ò ní sanwó fún ta ló fẹ́ nǹkan tó free gbogbo náà la fẹ́ nǹkan tó free náà bí wọn náà bá rọ opportunity pé o lè máa fẹ́wọ́ níbì kan tówó máa wọlé tí wọ́n dẹ̀ ní mú ẹ àfi tílẹ̀ bá mọ́ bá ẹbí ti Yàyà Bello yes ó ṣeé ṣe because kò tọwọ́ bọ̀ or ó ṣeé ṣe kí wọn náà máa sọ pé ìlú ìwá ní buy one get one free sórí free yẹn tó ń sọ yẹn mo lè bẹ́tẹ̀ pé wọ́n ti add ẹ̀ mọ́ owó àkọ́kọ́ and buy one get one free ìlú ìnílọ́wọ́ tó pọ̀ so kí ni mo fẹ́ fà mẹ́rin pé nígbà tó sọ fún ọba àtijọ́ náà lọ́hùn pé àwọn kan náà ló propose ẹ̀ sí péjì tí mò ń wá gangan nílé mo ti rí mò ń bọ̀ wá sọ́nbẹ̀rẹ̀ wọ́n ní wọ́n lè máa kó àwọn èèyàn wá láti Áfíríkà ọba tábà lọ Áfíríkà a lè kó àwọn èèyàn wá àwa máa lò wọ́n fún ẹrú wọ́n máa bá wa ṣiṣẹ́ sugar cane farm wa wọ́n máa bá wa gbẹ́lẹ̀ ọba yẹn fún wọn ní boat ó fún wọn ní more power ó fún wọn ní ìbọn ó fún wọn ní gbogbo nǹkan ó ní ẹ padà lọ síbẹ̀ àìmọye tẹ bá lè jí kó wá And that is what led to the slave trade and many other things as well. But Lenny, Omo Yoruba says, ìgbà yẹn wá ń kọ́, ṣùgbọ́n ìgbà yẹn nìyẹn, àṣà sí nínú ọkọ̀ ẹrú mọ́ nísìn, ìwọ ló ṣì ń rò pé ò sí nínú ẹrú. We are now in a civilized, modernized slave trade. Òyìnbó ò lọ kó wa mọ́ bí ship, àwa la wá ń wá gbogbo ń ta lè tà tó jẹ́ nǹkan tá ti fi wàhálà ṣe just to exit Nigeria to Australia, New Zealand, Canada. And it's good. I always say it. If you can japa, èmi ò wà lára àwọn tó máa ní máa lọ lóyìnbó. No. If you can make it down here, do. But don't ask me, mo fẹ́ ṣe visa, problem ti ẹ nìyẹn. Bí mi náà ṣe dé bíbá, mo lọ consult anybody. A ṣe visa, mo dé ìlú yìí. Because of my time constraint, I'm going to move swiftly. Tó bá wà lórí X, because gbogbo yín ò sí lórí X anyway, I know that majority of those that are following us in, that are Yoruba, a very, very small percentage. Out of the 40,000 followers to money lórí X, I can tell you that about 30,000 of them are Biafrans. Probably about 10,000 are Yorubas, because and it's very sad that as a mama of how about like a video, a subscribe, a share. It's a very sad development, and I can feel his energy yesterday. Oh no, Malo, on a short break, he had about 1,900 people watching him on the YouTube, and only 600 people were liking the video. But because intoba tiwa embedded lẹ́mìí èèyàn, ní láti sọ fún mi kí èmi tó jáde, ní láti sanwó fún mi kí n tó ṣe tí mò ń ṣe, is because the love of what I want to do, the passion, the zeal, the energy. Kúkú pè mí pé Koiki àti ń dúró dé, ó yá jáde máa bọ̀ wá bá wa sọ̀rọ̀. Kúkú rán mi iṣẹ́ náà. So that is why some of you, we know some of you appreciate what we do, but for the fact that a like a video, it just helped to push the message. Tó bá dago méje nísìn, mo ní sọ church yẹn. Tó bá dago méje in the next 1 hour, church yẹn ń sọ ojú pé kẹ́ share. Kó tó sọ lẹ́tí ń share, lẹ́tí ń love, lẹ́tí ń like. Because kílẹ̀ wá níbẹ̀, ẹ̀ ń wá ìgbàlà níbẹ̀. Ẹ̀dẹ̀ ń wá tí ó máa solve gbogbo problem ayé yín àtayé tèmi náà. Tèmi náà máa ń wà níbẹ̀. Tèmi náà kò síbi tá dúró sí. Oh yes, ẹ̀wọ̀n pé 3-1 lèmi ṣe. Bí ṣe ń ṣe tẹlẹ́bọ, mo ń ṣe ti Jésù, mo ń ṣe tànábì. Má bi mí pé kí ló dé tí mo ṣe ṣe mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta. Bó ṣe wù mí nìyẹn. Problem tèmi nìyẹn, kò ṣe problem tiẹ̀. But kí mo fẹ́ fà mí ni pé we are just people that we believe in those things, but eléyìí tó jẹ́ the basic things tó máa reflect in our life, tó máa fún wa ní that long-term future, tó máa jẹ́ kí ìran wa lè ṣì wà in existence. Ẹlòmíì rò pé ìran wa kò lè parẹ́. Àwọn ò ní fẹnu wa ká fi ń gbàdúrà pé k'Ọlọ́run jẹ́ adébi tá ń lọ ká tó máa sọ pé k'Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kí ìran wa parẹ́. But it has happened in the past, and it is likely to happen if we do nothing. Tabakọ̀ jókòó pé kò lè sí nǹkan kan, ìran Yorùbá ò lè parẹ́, Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kó parẹ́ o. Èmi ò tún ní fẹnu tèmi sọ ọ̀rọ̀ òdì. But I can tell you that in the past history, some people have lost their whole territory, and some people have lost everything when it comes to their identity. There is a Twitter handle, before we go back to the Portuguese exploration. Tó bá wà lórí Twitter, don't follow Twitter. It's X. But Taban sọ pé X for X-ray. Some people is like, they get confused. That is why we're still using Twitter, even though it is no longer called Twitter. Lọ follow handle kan tó ń pè ní Crime LDN, which stands for London in full, full. Crime, LDN. Lọ follow platform yẹn. Wàá máa béèrè pé lánàá tí mò ń go through some of the updates. I'll just give us about 1 or 2 before we go away from there. Wàá máa béèrè pé ṣé London yìí ṣó safe ṣá? Ṣé UK is safe ṣá? With the amount of crime and death. And I'll read some of those things to you now so that kó má kọ̀ rò pé ìjọ́rí mo wà labroad. Jọ́rí pé púpọ̀ nù yín ẹ máa ní Koiki ò mú news tó dá wá láti Nàìjíríà. Èmi ò mọ news tó dá ní Nàìjíríà tẹ́lẹ̀ kí n mú wá fún yín. People cannot buy kerosene. What interrise nínú sachet? People cannot buy petrol. People cannot have basic things of life. You are being squeezed. And we are saying that a detention was squeezed is because British or Britain essentially placed a death sentence on Nigeria. What more do you want me to say? What way death sentence they were lórí, and you thought that they want to lift it. What in bára wọn jà, bàbá àtọmọ nílùú yìí, King Charles àti Prince Harry, wọ́n bára wọn jà gidi. Ìwọ wá expect pé wọ́n bọ̀ wá solve a problem tiwa Africa. No, they're not. So let me just give you some of these crimes. Benny, they are living in delusion. Again, orúkọ Twitter handle yẹn or X handle yẹn is called crime Wawafi LDN. It's called London and UK Street News. Ní background wọn, wọ́n kọ London crime and UK crime. Let me just give you some of those crimes. Olùkọ́ yìí nìkan lè ń ṣọmọ ta ní Nàìjíríà, láàrin Èkó, ní Maryland, Lẹ́kìtì, lọ́ṣùn, lọ́yọ̀. Olùkọ́ Nàìjíríà nìkan ni crime wà. No, kò síbi tó sí crime. But you need the crime quickly and neutralize it. Let's give you some of those things that we have. 8 hours ago, a man had been convicted of murder. What a convicting in West Mosley. Danzig Crease, a 36-year-old, stabbed his brother, Louis Crease, 26, to death. A row broke out and Danny stabbed his brother Louis to death from a single stab wound to the head. Danny is to be sentenced in 3 days' time. News in Nigeria. Ẹ̀gbọ́n ti pàbúrò, èdì ni o, Ọlọ́run o, irú ilé òrèlè. Crime long way. Let's go further. 11 hours ago, a man has been convicted of murder. Odikumeji. Patrick Sharp, Midi, 20. I want him on soil. Well, take with 30. My follow age. Stab Kajanta Midga, 18. Again, these are people that are not up to 21 years old. Enito stab 20. Enito stab 18 years old. To death, Konshepo survive or occupy in an unprovoked at a school prom in Stevenage. We will school prom, PROM. With around African country, helicopter. These are things that people do when it, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Prom. I'm in a mansion in the UK. Mom, I'm going to have to hire a very nice car to take me for the prom. Nino prom la ilé ti bára wọn lọ ti bára wọn jà lọ ti fi ọ̀bẹ gúnra wọn àbí whatever. Kí ló fà? Mayday, èyí tó pààyàn, 20 years old, made a mistake believing that Miguel, èyí tó kú, was talking to his ex-girlfriend at the prom when he stabbed him. Látara pé obìnrin àtọkùnrin, girlfriend, boyfriend, ó stab her. These are the crimes that is happening in UK. Most of you like, Koiki, not that I don't talk about this crime, but focus on self-determination. But our crime yìí on jẹ́ kó jáde nínú main news lọ títí. That is what they're good at. Money British spend the 600 million euro to convince Africa through their network. Without a strong media, you cannot get a Yoruba nation, because gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ tá à ń sọ yìí bó ṣe máa fẹ́ lórí afẹ́fẹ́ nìkan ni, but àwọn tó yẹ kó gbọ́ nísàlẹ̀ ní awareness papa ní gbogbo local government láti lè sọ fáwọn ọ̀yá yẹn pé in tóyìnbó dá sílẹ̀ ìyẹ́ là ń jẹ lọ́wọ́ ẹ jẹ́ kájọ pull out, ẹ má tún jẹ́ káwọn olóṣèlú kọ̀ọ̀kan wá tún wá campaign irọ́ fún yín, because they are all bloody liars. Olórí burúkú látòkè délẹ̀ ni wọ́n má ṣàǹfààní. Like I always say, one more and I will take away from there. 2 gang members have been convicted of the murder Otudiku Metabi, Abubakar Jar, 18, who was shot ìbọn tẹ̀ lọ́ fi pa ilé, not just shot, nígbà tó shoot ẹ̀ tán and stabbed in Canning Town in 2021. That shows that crime tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní 2021 yẹn 22, 23, 24. It take 3 years for justice to be served, because justice gbọ́dọ̀ serve fáwọn tí family ẹ̀ tí wọ́n pa. Ẹ jẹ́ ká kọ́ reflect eléyìí. Adwa Sali, 24 years old, and Rio Bolton, ojú wọn wà ń bẹ dúdú lélẹ̀, 25, have been convicted of the murder of Jar in a gang revenge of shooting. And when you know cultism in Nigeria, a lè sọ pé àwọn eléyìí náà àwa nípìn ní cultism, but gang ló máa ń pè wọ́n ní UK. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀tẹ̀ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. We're just literally not too long before we end the program, because I got other things to do this morning. What I'm just trying to portray here is that UK has its own gang killings, but for us to have a Yoruba country, a crime will be committed, and even if it's taking 3 years, we would resolve that crime and we will sentence those involved. I pray that most of you then were justice for Mohbad. I pray you will get it. I will not sit here against Olorun Jerry. I just pray you get it, because I know that we never got justice for Dele Giwa. Àwọn tó pa Dele Giwa, àwọn Babangida, wọ́n ṣì wà láyé. I still read justice for Jumoke Oyeleke. She was not involved in the Yoruba campaign rally on the 3rd of July 2021 when she was killed by a straight bullet. Ẹni tó pa lawyer tó yìnbọn fún tó gbé twins sára, àìtí rí justice fún. Ẹni tó pa Àyànwọlá Bámiṣé, not only was she killed, wọ́n gba nǹkan kúrò lára ẹ̀, ó ní ìyá ó ní bàbá. How many of you are waiting for justice for something within your friend and family and you have not got it, but you are just hoping that one day God will come down and you'll get that justice? No, God doesn't need to come down. You need the judiciary to work. You need the police to be working. That is not going to compromise. Mo kí gbogbo ìyá wa tí ẹ wà affected ní ilé epo. Ìyá yẹn ní ọlọ́pàá tó gbé wá síbẹ̀ ó ti compromise. Ó ti gba 100,000 naira lọ́wọ́ àwọn Fulani against the Yoruba people. 8 people lost their life last week. 8. Those 8 people could have been the next Richard Branson, the next Elon Musk, the next Bill Gates, the next Dangote. Lóòótọ́ wọ́n lè wà nínú ọjà yẹn, but things can blow away and they can become billionaire. But 8 Yoruba people were murdered. And other Yoruba people say, because it has not truly affected you. So I'm going to move swiftly because of my time. The topic that I've picked on is Why Yoruba nation and not Nigeria? Kí ló dé tá ṣe ń sọ pé a fẹ́ Yoruba nation and not Nigeria? Self-determination under UN Charter is a right, but UN kọ́ ló máa fún any country. If you think that UN will just say, hey, ẹ lọ gba Yoruba nation country, and that is it. No, you're not going to be given a country like that. But there are criteria to what can be led to a country. The first thing is, do you have the territory? Do you have the territory? Let me show you my little, the big one is here. I can hear the truck. Yeah, that is what the council tax is used for. And they are increasing it every year. So we are also being strangled by the conservative. And I know that many people are getting frustrated with the Conservative Party. What will be the outcome of the election? Bioma Wole we know. But ilẹ̀ ló ń kó yẹn, ẹni tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ yẹn kò ń ṣiṣẹ́ ìdọ̀tí ló ń ṣe. Ó ní pension nínú ẹ̀, ó ní welfare nínú ẹ̀. Nínú ẹ̀ ló ti ń tọ́jú ìyàwó àtọmọ. Nínú ẹ̀ ló ti ń mu sìgá tó mu. Nínú ẹ̀ ló ti ń mu ọtí tó mu. Nínú ẹ̀ ló máa ti travel pẹ̀lú British passport ẹ̀. Abento by the British passport around the world. And I can tell you that, yes, I can see the truck. Ó ti gbé kan níbẹ̀ yẹn, a gbé tó wà níbẹ̀ yẹn, a reverse, a tún lọ sí ibòmíì. Kò nídìí ẹnì kankan tó máa bribe. Kò nídìí pé, èmi ni kẹ́ gbé contract yìí fún. It is a process, and everybody follow the due process. That is the job of the local government. Continue to pray for Nigeria where you don't have a reliable, stable, and you can never have it, local government, because your governors are monsters that have taken charge of the local government. So, to have a country, the first question to you and my being is, do you have the territory? Do you have the land? Láti lè pè ní country, because if you don't have the land, you cannot call it a country. Brothers and sisters, then well, they might be know that I can't mention name because we're very pressed with time, and this program is not a long one because I have other things to do. We have the land, but that land is being managed by another country called Nigeria. The reason why that land is called Nigeria is because the UK or the British that placed a death sentence on Nigeria reversed the name, reversed the true picture of that territory just under 110 years ago. It's not like it is long. It's not like it is like 30,000 years ago. The whole project Nigeria is still very young. It can be reversed. Church here, I don't want to mention the name of the church. May God reverse the cancer. May God reverse the illness in your body. Why then are we not praying for that same God to reverse us back to where we used to be? I mean, are we not just an hypocrite people? You are praying for God to reverse things that have gone wrong in your life. But you don't want to pray for the same God to reverse us back to where we used to be before the English people, the British people, destroy who we are. For me, it's like, I see people give testimony on that platform. God just reversed that illness. And I was checked again by the doctor, and the doctor was shocked to see that they're going now. The people that have come to pick my bin, they are going, they go around, do that, they get paid, no trouble, no half salary. So what is then difficult for us to pray? And those of us that are praying that God will reverse us back to the Biafra having their own territory, to the Arewa, the Middle Belt. Some say, but Koiki, what about all these small ethnic indigenous people? Sometimes people call them tribes. What do we do with them? Because then you ban a country, are you not considering those smaller tribes? Do you know that UK control some territory like Gibraltar, and the whole of Gibraltar, as at the time we checked it last, they are not up to 40,000, and they're a country. So who then is telling you that we cannot have those smaller numbers of ethnic group within Nigeria to also have their own country? Because they have their own space. So I hope that that is understandable. And the last phrase before we go this morning again, when the Portuguese arrived in Benin, Nigeria, in the 15th century, they quickly started trading brass and copper for pepper, cloth, ivory, and slaves. In the 1490s, a Portuguese trader wrote that Benin copper bracelets were more highly prized than the brass ones. The Portuguese exploration, motivated by desire for new markets and an ongoing opposition to the Muslim Portuguese sailors, had begun to explore the West Africa coast in the first half of the 15th century. They were moving very fast. They were moving from point A to B. The whole purpose of why the war today, if you follow the news as at yesterday and day before, the Chinese premier is traveling within some certain European countries. What is he looking for? Xi Jinping is the president of the People's Republic of China. He has arrived at his final stop of his European tour. He's building relationship, and is also an all-weather strategic partnership, according to Reuters. This was what they were doing during the 15th century, the Portuguese exploration. They were looking for the new market. They wanted to make sure that the new market can be used for their own purpose and gain. And as I leave us again this morning, as we go on our daily calls around the world, the question we should ask ourselves is, why Yoruba nation and not Nigeria? What has Nigeria done that we have now come to the terms, probably not every one of us, that Nigeria is not worth fighting or dying for? Chinese Xi Jinping says China-Hungary relations and all-weather strategic partnership. Budapest, May 9, China and Hungary will embark on a golden voyage in a bilateral relations, Chinese President Xi Jinping said after meeting Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban on the third and the final stop of his first European tour in the 5 years. Nobody wants you to be free. Not the West, not the Chinese, not the American, or the Asia. They want you to remain a slave with the false identity called Nigeria. And you can never prosper within Nigeria. The only option that we can fight for today is for everybody to go their separate ways and allow Nigeria to dissolve. If otherwise, there will never be peace, there will never be unity, and there will be more chaos ahead and in the future. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI, and this is how far we can take you this morning. Remember that it is doable, it is possible. Regardless your faith or whatever you believe in, you also pray for something. And you always believe that the God that you believe in will do it. That same God will take us out of Nigeria if you pray towards it as you pray for your own children, grandchildren, your future, your marital status, your settlement, everything that you want, God that you believe in, whether you are Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, or whether you are a non-believer, that same God will do the Yoruba nation that we want. I know it might be like it's not going to happen, but the indigenous people are free. It's just that a matter of time, the whole structure that the British created will crumble. And Nigeria, being the last British empire, will divide. You might not like that. It will divide peacefully, and I'll leave it like that. But if it doesn't go peacefully, you know the reverse of what next. Have a very good morning and have a great day. My name is OLAYOMI Koiki. Koikimedia, bringing the world closer to your doorstep. Bye for now.